And we are back. Welcome to the next predictions video after what was possibly the best possible week of Carabao Cup action for myself as a Manchester United fan. Through to the semi-finals, Manchester City knocked out, and we avoided Newcastle in the two-legged semi-final. So if there was ever an opportunity for Manchester United to end their trophy drought, it is now in this competition. I know not many people care about the Carabao Cup, but as far as I'm concerned, a major trophy is still a major trophy. Obviously a great opportunity for Newcastle as well, and the dreamers in Nottingham Forest and Southampton of getting their first trophies in a long while as well. But of course, we're not here to talk about Carabao Cup. We are here for Premier League predictions like always. Before we get into the Game Week 20 predictions though, we are going to talk about tonight's games first, and that is between Fulham and Chelsea, where I would have gone for a Fulham win here if it wasn't for the fact that Mitrovic got suspended. And I really think he's that important to Fulham and how they play. So I'm not going to give Fulham the win. I'm certainly still not going to give Chelsea the win. I'm going to go for a 1-1 draw. I think it's going to be a tight game. I think the Fulham crowd are going to be well up for it. I think the Fulham players are going to be well up for it. It's a big opportunity to get a massive derby win for them, the way they're playing this season, and certainly the way Chelsea have been playing recently. I don't think João Felix is available. I might be wrong on that, but from what I saw of what times it sort of came through yesterday, I don't believe he's going to be registered in time to play in this game. So I don't think he's available. So Chelsea are still going to have all of their injury concerns, and I just think this is a great opportunity for Fulham to capitalise. But again, I just don't think they're going to have enough without Mitrovic up front to get enough goals to beat Chelsea. So I'm going to go for a 1-1 draw, but it still wouldn't surprise me to see Fulham get the win tonight. And I wish them the best of luck, because it's always nice to see Chelsea suffer. On to the rest of the games this week then. And of course it is going to be our usual Game Week 20 protocol. And we'll run through all of the games that will be played at the weekend. There are of course two further games in Game Week 20 between Crystal Palace, Manchester United, and then Tottenham, Man City. But those two games I'm going to do in another separate video, like I'm kind of doing with this one right here. So make sure you are subscribed to the channel so you don't miss out on that. Let's get into the games. And we start with tomorrow night's game, which is between Aston Villa and Leeds. Two teams that are sort of starting to rediscover their form. Unai Emery's impact at Aston Villa has been fantastic so far, and I've been impressed with Leeds over the last couple of weeks. They're starting to find their energy again. They're starting to score goals again. I know they weren't particularly great in the FA Cup, and they missed a big opportunity to go through against 10 men, but they're still playing reasonably well. I don't quite see them having enough to do Aston Villa in this time around, and I'm going to go for a 2-1 win to Aston Villa in this game week's opener. Then we get to, in my opinion, the biggest game of the weekend. Of course, I'm going to say that as a Manchester United fan, and it is the Manchester Derby, the 12:30 kickoff on Saturday. And I don't know. I really don't know. The more and more the build-up to this game has gone, and obviously what happened last night with the Southampton game, the more I think we can actually win this. I know I've said in all of my reaction videos over the last few weeks, if we play the way we've played in recent matches, we're going to get done over by City. But City just aren't playing great at the moment. I know they beat Chelsea 4-0 last week, but that was at home. They struggled away, and obviously they lost away at Southampton last night. And yesterday's interviews, Ten Hag said he's going to go for it, which is bold, and, you know, I'd much rather see us lose trying to win than lose trying to not lose, because that's what happened last time. We tried to sit in and defend and conceded 6, so we can't have that happen again. At least if we're going to concede, let's concede trying to win the game. And Pep Guardiola said he's going to go for one of his ridiculous, outrageous formations again. I'm thinking that's just mind games and he's just going to play the usual setup. But you just never know with Pep Guardiola in big games. So if Ten Hag goes for it and Pep does something stupid, I genuinely believe we can win this game. And the momentum's on our side, I think, right now. I know they scored 6 last time out, but sod it. I think we're in for one of the best games of the season here if both teams go for it full pelt. So I'm going to go 4-2 Manchester United, and I'm just going to hope and pray that that is what's going to happen and that we do get the massive win that will put us 1 point behind Man City as well. Obviously, if City play to their maximum, they could still rip us to bits. But right now, I'm feeling confident, and that's why I'm going for the Manchester United win. The first of the 3 o'clock games is another game with massive implications. A really out of form Liverpool travel to a really informed Brighton. And if it wasn't for the fact that the Liverpool badge was opposite Brighton, you'd say Brighton win this relatively easily. So, given the fact that I try and do these things based on logic, he says after just going for a Manchester United prediction based purely on heart, this one I'm going to go on form, and I'm going to go for a 3-1 win for Brighton, because I just don't see Liverpool beating them. They could, and, you know, I look stupid if they do, but I would think that would be an upset right now. The way Liverpool are playing, the way Brighton are playing, I think it's an upset if Liverpool go to the Amex and get a result. So I think 3-1 Brighton is a completely fair and justified result. On to the relegation battle, and we have Everton and Southampton to start our relegation fights this week. And again, if it wasn't for last night's performance, I'd probably go for an Everton win here. But now, I think the pressure has flipped. Southampton put in a performance last night to say to the rest of the Premier League, when we play to our maximum potential, we can win games. Whereas Everton, all the pressure that was on Nathan Jones has kind of been lifted a bit from last night, and now it's squared back on Frank Lampard into this game. So I think Southampton now have a lot of momentum going into this one. I don't quite think they're going to get the win, but I'm going to go for a 1-1 draw, because if they play like they did last night, they might just go and win. But I don't know how consistent they can play like that. And obviously, if Everton play to their best, they will beat Southampton as well. It's a really tough game to call, this one. So I'm just going to go down the middle. The second relegation clash sees Nottingham Forest taking on Leicester. Leicester with a horrific away form. Nottingham Forest with a fairly decent home form. So with all of that said, I'm going to go for 1-0 Forest. Don't think I really need to say much else. I think until Leicester get James Maddison fit, they're just not going to do anything at the moment. And Nottingham Forest, like I say, they're playing really well at home. They've tried to make it into a fortress, and I think they're doing well enough to get the result and get the win here against Leicester. The final of the relegation battle games, I would say, is between Wolves and West Ham. And my oh my, do West Ham need a result right now? I don't think they're going to get it. I think Wolves have done enough again themselves over the last few weeks with the new signings coming in and Lopetegui's impact on the squad right now. They're certainly the better team right now, and at home against West Ham, I'm going to go for a 2-0 win for Wolves, because I think West Ham's attack's just completely in disarray. They can't seem to figure out whether they should be playing Scamacca or Antonio. Jared Bowen's off the boil. Paqueta hasn't really been playing that great. Fornals, Lanzini, they keep mixing it around. Ben Rama in that second row. They had so much consistency in their team last year that it's almost like the new signings have just completely disrupted everything that's going on with West Ham. And as much as I can see them getting a result against Wolves, I think right now it would be wrong of me to predict anything other than a Wolves win. Next up, it is a Brentford up against Bournemouth. I don't really think there's much to say about this one. Form, players on the pitch, everything just suggests this is going to be a Brentford win, and I'm just going to go for a 3-0 win for Brentford in that one. If Bournemouth pull off a result, fair play to them, but I said in the last video I need to start respecting Brentford a little bit more, and I am starting to do that, so I'm going to go for a 3-0 win for Brentford. After that, we have the first returning team from tonight's fixtures. It is Chelsea up against Crystal Palace. And obviously, if things have not gone well for Chelsea tonight, then this game has even more pressure put on it. But I don't think Crystal Palace are a team in a lot of great form themselves recently. So I think it would be a surprise to see any other result than a Chelsea win in this one. I'm going to go for 2-1 to Chelsea. I still think Crystal Palace could cause issues. I really like Crystal Palace's attacking line with Zaha and Eze and Elise and all their creative flair. But I think Chelsea should be beating Crystal Palace at home. If they don't, then Graham Potter's position really should be up for debate if it's not already gone if they lose tonight. And speaking of tonight, the other team, which is Fulham, travel to Newcastle in the first of Sunday's games. I think this is possibly a stretch too far for Fulham. I know they'll have Mitrovic back for this one, travelling back to his old club, looking to prove a point, but I look at the way Newcastle play at the moment. They look so solid defensively. I don't quite think Fulham have enough to break them down. And with the likes of Isak coming back, St. Maximan looking like he's almost ready to be back at full fitness, Callum Wilson's fit again, and obviously all the rest of their players, Almiron, Joelinton, Bruno Guimaraes, they're all on form right now. I just think, like I say, it's just a step too far for Fulham right now. They are playing very well. It would surprise me if they managed to get a result, but not massively a surprise. But I'm going to go for 2-0 to Newcastle. I think they'll have too much for Fulham in the end. And finally, we have the North London derby, which you could argue is even more significant than the Manchester derby this weekend, purely because Arsenal are obviously top of the league. And I don't know. My head says that Arsenal win this game. My heart says that we need Arsenal to drop points if Manchester United have any chance of winning the title. And Tottenham look to have turned a corner after their last performance. So I'm not going to go all in on a Tottenham win, but I'm also not going to go for an Arsenal win. I'm going to go for a 2-2 draw. I think, again, this is going to be a fantastic game. I think it's going to be very open. I think Conte's going to try and make it tight. But I think the way both of these teams play, it's going to end up being a rather open game with opportunities at both ends. And I think there's going to be a fair few goals in it. So I'm going to go for a 2-2 draw, which will hopefully mean that Arsenal have dropped points and Manchester United have gained ground both on City and Arsenal this week if all things go my way. As always, let me know down in the comments what you think of my predictions and, of course, what you think is going to happen. Drop a like if you are enjoying this series. Thank you very much for watching. I will see you next week for a mini video for the predictions for the remaining games of Game Week 20 before we look in to Game Week 21.